Let's face it, it doesn't matter where you are in your career. You can be a product manager, a director of product, or maybe even a VP of product. Most chances are you have no idea where your career is heading, and not for lack of trying. You see, we product managers, we strive to manage everything in our life just as if it was a product, and for a very good reason, yeah? Because after all, you are the greatest project you'll ever work on. But when it comes to product management, career growth, and managing your career, this is actually a very big task. There are so many questions, so many dilemmas, so many things that you don't even know that you need to think about before you're making your plan. And actually, we didn't even try to answer the biggest question. What is it that you want from your career? But that's fine because you're in great hands. And today, three of our leaguers, product league mentors, will answer all your questions, big and small, about product management career growth. You guessed it right. This Ask Me Anything session is all about your career. By the way, nice meeting you. My name is Maria Cassis. I'm the founder and general manager of Product League, and we help you to become the best product manager you can be. Product League is an international mentoring program for product managers by product managers. This is our Ask Me Anything session. This is where we answer all the questions that dedicated and curious product managers just like you may have. And we've got three amazing Product League mentors to join me here on stage to answer all that. Now, before I'm going to call them to join me here, I have something to ask you because you see, I really want to get to know you better. I really want to know who you are, where you're from, what you do, what is the product that you are managing right now, so we can give you the best product. This is the answers, right? The best answers that you need, all right? So please use the chat, okay? The comment section below, wherever it is that you watch us right now, and let us know who you are. And please like this video and subscribe to us if you watch us over YouTube, or like the page if it's Facebook or LinkedIn, wherever it is that you are. Please let us know who you are, where you're from, because we want to make sure that we tailor the most amazing answers to your questions, and we want to get to know you better and to have the opportunity to invite you to future amazing events just like this. I hope that you're ready because I'm super excited about what we are having right now. Let's start. Leaguers, let's welcome our first panelist, Ronnie Moses, joining us live from Haifa, Israel, product manager at MediSafe and product league mentor. Ronnie is a product management professional experienced in the healthcare industry. It is her passion to manage product roadmaps through a solid understanding of market and business needs together with technical capabilities. And I am so excited to have you here because not only that you are a product league mentor, this is your third time with us on this stage.
Yes, Maria, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
It's so great to have you here with us. The previous times we talk about healthcare product management, right? We also had another session that was really valuable. And this time we are going to give some answers about how to grow careers in product management. Are you ready?
That's right. Yep.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Ronnie. And we are going to be back with you in just a few because we also want to meet Lucia. And now get ready to learn from Lucia Collara, live from the Netherlands, product director at ACA and product league mentor. Lucia enjoys turning problems into opportunities with her team. She believes in validation before development, in the power of iteration, in data as a tool, and in failure and in the learning that comes with it. Hi, Lucia. How are you?
Hi, everyone. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure to have you on our stage. I already know that the audience submitted fantastic questions, and we're going to have great answers. So I just want to thank you for being here with us. It's going to be a pleasure, and we're going to meet you again in just a few, because now it's time for us to meet our third person for today, our third panelist, Nati. And now, let's shout out a big hello to our third panelist, Nati Berkover from Tel Aviv, Israel. VP of Products and Data Science at Jink and Product League Mentor. Nati is a veteran entrepreneur and a product leader with more than 10 years in product management and another 10 years of software engineering experience. What's up, Nati?
All good. Thank you for inviting me. Really, pleasure to be here.
The pleasure is definitely ours. I am so excited, as I just shared with Lucia and with Ronnie. We got really, really great questions from the audience. I'm sure you have some really good answers to.
I hope so.
Hopefully, I know so. You hope, I know. This is how we balance things here to share with the audience. And I just want to thank you not only for being a mentor in our program, but also for being here and share your experience with the leaguers in the audience. So what do you say? Are we ready to call in Lucia and Ronnie? Yes, let's do it. So Lucia, Ronnie, ladies, and one gentleman, I hope that you're ready because this is going to be fantastic. We already received amazing, amazing questions. So how is it going to work? When everyone RSVP'd to this event, we asked them, what is it on your mind? What is it on your heart when it comes to product management, career growth? Submit your questions so our mentors could answer them. And they did. So we already have amazing, amazing questions, but we don't stop there because, as I said, we want to give the audience even more answers. Okay, so we ask everyone that is now watching us, please think, what is it that you don't know enough about when it comes to product management, career growth, and just submit your questions in the chat, wherever it is that you watch us. And at the end of the session, we will have an open Q&A where these magnificent three will answer these questions as well. So it's going to be super fun. Again, a reminder to everyone in the audience, some action items. Like this video, share it with your colleagues and with your friends, because this is a very beneficial one to everyone who wants to have a career in the product management domain. It is going to be really good for them. And also let us know who you are and where you're from, because we want to get to know you. That's it. I think we're ready. We're ready to start and answer some questions. What do you say, guys? Shall we start?
Yep.
Let's do that. Fantastic. So the first question, it comes from Mia. And this is actually a very interesting one, because she is asking, what are the pros and cons of growing your career in the product domain? This is an interesting one, and this is a very important one. And I was so excited to see this question that comes from Mia, because I think that before we start and talk about shall we do things and how shall we do things, let's start with just understanding, like, what are the pros and cons? Product management career is not for everyone, right? So what do you say, Nati? Shall you start with the pros and cons of a career in the product management domain?
Sure. Hi, Mia. Thank you for the question. So one of the main pros that I see is a great understanding of how business work and where is the value is. It's also a true opportunity to make an impact within your company. And I don't know what your plans for the future are, but it also sets the ground for becoming an entrepreneur in the future, if this is a desire of yours. Now, one of the cons is that it has the risk of becoming quite repetitive if you are staying too long in the same domain and working on the same problem.
That's correct. That was really good and straight to the point. So thank you very much for that, Nati. Lucia, what do you say? Do you want to share some pros and cons with us?
Yeah. I would say when talking about growth, what I find truly amazing about product is that you never remove yourself from the hands-on work. So you stay fairly tactical at also very senior stages of the career. So it never gets extremely boring. I think on the more tactical side of things, and also you expand, of course, on the strategy. You're really a jack of all trades, and unlike many other disciplines, you can really develop more than one skill truly and deeply, which makes you a pie-shaped person kind of thing. Then maybe later we can build on top of that. But to build on Nati's point, I think more than repetitive, it can become a little bit frustrating if the concept of product mindset is only on paper in the company, which means you're not truly empowered as a product team. It can become frustrating to constantly be a lateral leader without really being empowered to make product decisions.
Yep, yep, that's correct. And I think that the product you mentioned actually goes back to what Nati just mentioned, right? The idea of building on so many qualities that what may bring someone to choose in the career of entrepreneurship, right? And to have a better start into that because of their product management experience. That was a good one. Thank you very much. And last but not least, Ronnie.
Thank you. One of the amazing things about product is you'll get to work with amazing people. You get to work with different teams, dev, QA, marketing, sales, partner success. You'll get to work with clients. You'll get to see how different people work. You'll gain a wide toolbox of both hard skills and soft skills that could take you in many, many different directions. One of the cons is that if you don't have a career plan in mind, you may find yourself with 10 years of varied experience and, like it was said before, a jack of all trades, but the rest of that is a jack of all trades that excels at none. And it could be difficult to take the leap to VP or director of product. It's a very, very steep pyramid. And if you don't focus and know where you want to go, you may find yourself lost and having trouble convincing why you're the best candidate.
That's true. Master of None is a great TV show, but we don't want it for your career. Yeah, so we stop there. Exactly right, Ronnie. Thank you very much. That was really good. And I think this is the right ground for us to continue with the question that comes from Grace. It goes to you, Nati. And she's asking, how do product managers and product executives differ in their day-to-day task? So before we, get to advice, product managers, whether should they become senior product managers or executives in the field, let's just talk about what does it really mean? Titles aside, what is so different?
Yeah, sure. I mean, this is a great question. Thank you, Grace. So in short, if you look at what I call the product spheres of responsibility, then product managers who are not executives are focused more on the hands-on tasks, such as writing specs, sprint planning, day-to-day prioritization, and even the quarterly planning. While product leaders are more focused on setting the main KPIs of the business, the product strategy, and managing other product people. And the intersection between the two is usually around the product roadmap, where the product leader dictates the tone according to the strategy, and the product manager fills it up accordingly. Now, this is all in theory. In reality, things are much more blurred.
Yeah, I like the the last sentence you said, like everything is here in theory, because it's so differ from one company to another, right?
Yeah,
and
definitely.
from the organizational structure from one place to another. So I think this was a good one. And I think Lucia and Ronnie, maybe you want to add something on that. How do you see the differences as you climb up the ladder?
I would say, if I may, I think when it comes to soft skills and hard skills, the more senior you get and the more you get towards leadership, that's where your soft skills should prevail compared to your hard skills, and also expected to be there and solid. You become effectively a consultant, mostly managing stakeholders and being an ambassador of your product rather than worrying about feature A or feature B. So your main worry should be around discovery and understanding how to keep the business healthy, keep customers happy, of course, but also keep everyone around happy as well and well informed. So soft skills versus hard skills, I think that's also like an important leverage there.
Absolutely. Wise words. Thank you very much for that. Ronnie, maybe you have anything to add?
I think they both summed it up beautifully. So I'll leave us time for other questions.
I highly agree on that one with you. Thank you very much. And Lucia, we're back with you with a question that comes from Aidan. And I love this question. Okay. He's asking, what jobs, tasks, or other experiences in my career and life should I explore before deciding which product career path to take? This is a beautiful question. Thank you so much, Ethan, for submitting that, because I think that this is like, it shows that our audience thinks more than just about the title. It's really about the path, the journey, the adventure even. So I'm eager to learn what you have to share with Ethan.
No pressure.
No pressure at all.
Thank you for the question. It took me a while to really elevate and extrapolate some concept around it, because it's a really broad question. So I would say at least 3 elements should be of notice here. So the first one, as I mentioned, the role is really like a P-shaped role. So either a T-shaped role or P-shaped role, which is described as broad mastery of general knowledge, but also deep functional domain expertise, at least on 1 or even 2 or more knowledge areas. So this is really, it's really different from other disciplines, majority of other disciplines, really. So evolving from one skill to T-shape to P-shape is a longer process compared to other disciplines. It takes time, and it takes constant decision making and understanding where you want to go. So this dance between cross-discipline and deep discipline expertise demands enough time and also enough practice around 1 or 2 areas. And typically those are strategy, data, product design, or technical roles, where normally product people come from. Don't want to generalize, but from my experience, that's where we come from. We just land on product. We don't study to be product people, at least in our generation, which was the first one. So in understanding which of these areas are gonna be your core skill set versus the ones that are gonna be built on top will take time, and typically this is done in easier and safer in the context of one company. So what I've seen in my experience is that you move from one role to the other, and then you expand and explore and build up on your skill set within typically 1 or 2 companies, and then it's usually easier than to move on in different companies. That's one element. So how to build this P-shaped skill set for yourself. And the second one is the life cycle phase of the product. So which is the phase within the life cycle of the product that is important to you and that you want to eventually work on. And it takes time to explore them all. And by them all, I mean at least a startup, scale up versus like a more established company, because it's a really different job actually on a daily basis and on a strategic base as well, to think about a startup product manager versus an established product manager. And finally, it's nice to spend time understanding whether what you find most interesting is more the discovery side of things, so the customer development, discovering, penetration, market, etc., or the delivery side of things. Because I've seen people obviously growing and striving in both realms, and I don't want to generalize and say that it's a siloed sides approach, but it is true that there are product managers that are more focused on discovery rather than delivery, and the opposite also happens. It's never going to be a 50-50 deal. So it's important to spend time. It's going to take time to understand where you want to focus more without lacking to build a basic experience on the other side as well. So hopefully this gives a high-level understanding, at least from my experience, where I think are some of the components that we should reflect on.
This was a beautiful, beautiful answer. So thank you very much, Lucia. And I'm convinced that Ethan and everyone else in the audience has much to think about right now. And Ronnie, what do you say? Are you ready for a question?
Yes, let's go.
Perfect. This is good. It comes from Olivia, okay? And she's asking, how do you feel about the have a 5-year career plan rule. So we all know it, okay? There are so many advisors and coaches and blog posts out there that tells everyone to set a 5-year career plan. Now, Olivia is here to ask, as a good product manager should, by the way, is that true? Should we really have it? What is your take? What are your thoughts about that?
I think that having a career plan is extremely important, whether it's a 5-year plan, a 3-year plan, or a 10-year plan, I think is up to you. Personally, I think that setting SMART goals, and for those of you who don't know, SMART is an acronym for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and most importantly, time-based to define my goals. So 5 years, it's so easy to get lost in. Yes, I want to be VP product in 5 years, but I break things down into much, much smaller chunks. So when I look ahead, I have the upcoming year planned according to quarters, the second year according to halves, and then years 3 to 5 are vague. And I like to leave room for flexibility and changes because life does throw us curveballs, and we are constantly having to reevaluate our goals, the timeline that we set. Sometimes, things progress faster or slower than we expected. And there's a lot of things that are not even connected to our career necessarily, but to life, families, growing as a
COVID.
family, COVID, exactly. We have to be agile and learn how to change with time. So have SMART goals and always be reevaluating them.
I love the fact that you mentioned SMART goals, Ryan. Thank you so much for that. To those in the audience that are not leaders, not mentors or mentees, I will share that one of the first tasks, actually the first task that we ask mentees to do when they start the batch with us is setting their SMART goals. And I'm like super picky with them, borderline annoying, when it comes to reviewing the SMART goals, because this is so important. And usually, all product managers out there will say, yeah, of course I know how to set SMART goals, but only a few does. Okay, a few do. So we need to practice it all the time, and especially when it comes to the most interesting and important project or product that we will ever focus on, which is our life, us, right? So thank you so much for mentioning SMART goals, Ronnie. This is an important one because I think this may be the biggest recommendation out there to everyone. Just sit down with the pen and piece of paper and understand what your goals are first. So thank you very much for that. I personally thank you very much for that. And we are with Sean with a question.
Claudia, if I may?
Yes, of course you may. Yes.
Before we jump on the next question,
I'm giving you the mic. I'm handing you the mic.
Thank you. So sometimes, and I know all of this makes sense, but sometimes when we sit down and we think of goals and we think tactically about what we should do in our next steps, sometimes the lack of purpose or the lack of a bigger why, it's a bit daunting in the sense that maybe it doesn't help us really overcoming like challenges. So for me, a great exercise that I did a couple of weeks ago was to actually find my why, which is almost like a personal vision for yourself. And that will help setting goals for your work, but also in any other area of your life. So for me, every time I'm a little bit short on why I should stick to my plan, I look at my why and then I find the purpose that ultimately will fulfill me in my work and also outside of my work. So I think it's like an extra tip when we're a bit, down and don't really want to stick to the goals that we made for ourselves.
I love it. And I think that actually of course, it's there to help us when things don't go the way we expect them to go and we need some extra motivation. But I think this can also be a really good North Star as for how to set the plan according to that. Because I agree with you 100%, Lucia. We need a clear why. Every single one of us needs a clear why, because otherwise we don't really have a vision. We don't really have a roadmap, right? We may have a few steps, but this is not a real roadmap. We don't understand what is the vision that stands behind of that. So I love that. Thank you very much. And because we got the opportunity to hear from you, so I wonder, Nati, maybe you have something to add on this issue of the 5 years plan.
Well, I mean, I agree to everything said here. I mean, the main takeaway from my side is that it's important to sit down and have some kind of plan for your career, but you need to understand that, I think Eisenhower said it, that plans are useless, but planning is gold, or something like that. So it's very important to have a plan, but understand that reality brings a lot of opportunities and changes and stuff like that. You will need to adjust. So eventually, you need to keep in mind the North Star, like you said. You need to understand where you want to go, but be flexible. Don't be too strict. That's
Absolutely.
my
Yeah,
tip.
be agile outside of the office as well. I love that. Thank you very much, Lonnie, Lucia, and Nati, for sharing your thought about this subject. And we are staying with all of you because Sean has a very interesting question to ask all of you. And he's asking, what should I consider when planning my career growth? So what should Sean and everyone else should take in consideration when planning their career plan, their career growth, and who would like to start?
I'll be happy to.
Jump right ahead.
My tip is general. It's not only for product management, but all work, including product management. It's a subjective meritocracy. You will be judged by the people above you in the pyramid. So find a sponsor. A sponsor is someone who will talk on your behalf and help you when it's time for evaluations and climbing the corporate ladder. There's somebody that has an effect in the room. Carla Harris has an amazing TED Talk about this, and I really recommend it. 16 Minutes of Gold.
I love this video as well. Yeah, I love this talk. Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much, Ronnie. Nati, shall we continue with you?
Sure. So I just said, that plans are subject to change, but one of the things that doesn't change much are your passions. So when you are trying to consider your path, you should check your passion. What type of business you would like to focus on? What type of domain? Is it B2C, B2B? You only, you have several years to spend in each domain. So, find and experiment with the domains that you like, and then try to find a role in such a domain that caters to your passion, and you can grow in it.
I love it. Thank you very much, Nati and Lucia.
Yeah, I'll keep it brief. Get yourself a mentor, maybe two. So don't be afraid to ask for feedback and receive feedback and challenge yourself. And it's super important to have mentors, and not just product mentors. Like one of my 3 mentors is a neurosurgeon. Why? Because we solve problems, and sometimes the approach it's surprisingly similar to how he solves very complex problems and how I solve very complex. Just he saved lives and I don't, but it's fine. Maybe one day I will with a digital product or service. I don't know, but it's super important to get yourself a mentor just to feel less alone, and also to constantly challenge yourself and like to receive even harsh feedback. It's good. It's healthy.
Absolutely. I should wear my In Mentoring We Trust shirt. When you said that, I love what you just shared with us. So absolutely, guys, get a mentor. You have to have a mentor in the product domain, because then you can have the answers or the guidance from person who knows your domain and been there, just a few years ago. But also, Lucia, as you mentioned, you can find inspiration and guidance everywhere. So try to explore, Nati, as you mentioned, other things, other mentors from different domains. It can only do good for your career. So I love that. Thank you very much. And Nati, we are back with you with a question that comes from Adas. And she's asking, how should my 5-year career plan direct me on what should be the next step in my career? So let's say we sat down, we have the plan ready, okay? But then how do we translate this 5-year plan into steps and actionable items for us to follow? This is a good one.
Yeah, a very good question, Adas. Thank you for that. I will try to answer it the best I can. So, like some other occupations, in product management, you can grow horizontally or vertically. Horizontally means that you will be exploring different domains, different type of products during your career. And vertically means you'll be climbing the ladder and eventually become a product leader. So my general recommendation for junior product managers is to experiment with different domain and product first, because it widens your perspective. You will become a much better product leader once you spend a few years as a product manager in different domains and experimenting with, I don't know, B2C, B2B, etc. Therefore, I wouldn't recommend spending more than 3 years in the same role unless there is something very unique in the company you are working in and you believe it holds great opportunities for your future. Now, as a general rule of thumb, you should aim to master the hands-on aspects of the job, like I said before, writing specs, sprint planning, day-to-day, so and so. So in about a couple of years, you can be considered a senior product. That would be a good progress to make within a couple of years. And following this plan, you could theoretically become head of a product or a VP of product within 5 years. So I wouldn't recommend chasing this so fast. It might be better to experiment first with a different product, like I said before, and spend some more time as a senior product manager. If you have the patience, I would recommend not rushing because to become a product leader, because I believe that experimenting with different companies will make it up to you big time. And maybe it's a good point to talk for a second about how your reality is going to look as a product leader, right? So as a product leader, it could be, product lead, director of product, head of product, VP product, chief product officer, whatever. You will be dealing with advanced product topics such as a product strategy and roadmap. And in addition, unless you are a one-man show, there will be a totally new dimension to your job, and that is managing other product people. Consider if this is something you want, because the management overhead can be quite big and take a great deal of your time. And last, it shouldn't be ignored, is the fact that the higher you climb the product management ladder, the more likely that office politics are going to be an integral part of your reality. You need to take this into consideration, because if you don't like the aspects of what I just described, then maybe become a product leader is not necessarily something you want. I personally know several senior product managers who are serving in this role for more than a decade, and they are very, very happy about it. So going back to the beginning and wrapping it all up, I would start my journey with two things. First, deciding the type of business I would like to spend my time in and find an entry-level job in one of them. And second, connecting to what Lucia said, find myself a very good mentor, a good mentor can significantly increase the pace of your learning and help you avoid the mistakes. Later down the road, if you will need to make a decision whether it's time for you to climb the ladder, or maybe an opportunity might show itself and accelerate, push you towards this, even if you don't feel you are ready. So going back to the plan, it's important to have a plan to understand where you want to go, but as always, reality is stronger, and you will definitely learn a few things about yourself in a journey. So learn and adjust and be open to new opportunities. And I hope I answered your question.
I'm sure you did a great job. And I want to highlight something. The fact that things are changed and the way we perceive our goals and our ambition change from time to time, this is actually a sign of growth. Okay, this is not a bad thing for everyone in the audience thinking, no, I have to stick to the goals that I set, in the firmest way possible. No, be agile, not just because you need to be agile, but also because you may find out things about yourself, as you mentioned, the not really liking dealing with office politics or stuff like that, that tell you that you want to choose a different path. And this is more than okay. This is good because that means that you listen to yourself. So this is actually really, really good. And I'm thankful for you, Nati, for mentioning that. Lucia and Ronnie, as this is a big one, I wonder if you have anything to add.
I'd like to add, I really agree with what Nati said regarding at the beginning of your career, experiment different things, B2B, B2C, small companies, big companies, different industries. But at the end of the day, 5 years down the line, you're going to have 2-3 different jobs on your resume. Make sure that your different jobs and that your jumps, they tell a cohesive story. So you're going to be sitting next to a recruiter who's going to be saying, hey, you look a bit unstable. What's been going on here? Or, it looks like you're a jack of all trades. Make sure that you know how to tell your story so that it shows your evolution and your growth.
Absolutely. I highly agree with that. And I think that actually you kind of said the same thing, Ronnie and Nati, because the story may be, I want to experiment as much as possible before I make the decision. And this is a great story to have, right? When we interview people and they explain the different path that they took in their career, and they show that it comes out of strategy of, I want to practice, I want to experiment, I want to learn. That's one of the most amazing things that we as hiring managers can hear. So I actually think that your answers tied up together in a very interesting way. Yeah, thank you very much for that. Lucia?
I agree about the storytelling. It is also true that if a product recruiter cannot accept that maybe I made a mistake in choosing a job in the past and I was honest enough and reactful enough to, course correct my direction, then maybe I don't want to deal with that recruiter. So for me, it's also about, like, I have gaps in my LinkedIn. I clearly state when I had kids and when, I was only 6 months in a job. I will say it out loud. And I do want to believe that also that is part of my cohesive story, because it's just the truth of how some lives go. It's about how you react and how you explain why it was wrong for you and how you came back from that. So it is about storytelling in the end. You're right, Ronnie, but let's not avoid telling our mistakes as well, because this is what we do, right? We fail fast when we jump back up on the saddle, right?
Definitely.
And we stick to our why, which is one of the things that you mentioned earlier, right? Because if your why is clear, when things go in a way that we did not expect them to go, right, we know that we have to move on, or we have to tweak, or we have to change things, because we're not heading in the right direction.
Yeah,
I love that. Thank you very much for adding that, Lucia. This was very, very interesting and very important, actually, to mention. So thank you very much for that. And we are staying with you because John has a question to ask you, and he's asking, how can I plan my career so that I will spend more time building products and less time solving conflicts? Nati, you just mentioned office politics, and here it is. Here it is.
Oh, so, John.
Yes. Poor John, indeed. Lucia, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this is not a 1-minute answer. Politics will be politics. They will always be present, more or less. But as a true product person, what I would say is just go to the source of the problem and don't look at the output being the politics. Look at the source. of the problem. And typically from experience, the source is usually around lack of guts to make decisions and lack of alignment in the objectives, either top down or bottom up. These are usually typically, and this all comes from fear and risk adverse behaviors, right? So the culture of the company or the culture of specific departments leads to lack of trust, which leads to not empowering certain people, which leads to fear of making decisions, to maybe disappoint this person or this person, and then all of a sudden we don't have the same objectives and we're not really looking at the same vision altogether as a total team. And this leads to politics. So politics is the output. The source of the problem, usually these 2 or 3 components. So go back to the source, try and understand whether you have control over it or not. If you're starting a new role, immediately check these components, like where are the KPIs? How are people deciding on objectives for the company? Is there a clear vision? Everyone knows what the vision is about. What's the company culture? What's the value? Is it truly a product mindset company or is it just on paper? These things will tell you a lot, tons about the company and how to act on it. Sometimes you don't have control over everything, but most times you do have control over minor parts that maybe will make your life a little bit easier.
Absolutely. And even if you don't have control over it, you can control your career path within that, going back to the previous question, and decide whether this is suitable for what you want from your career or not. Yeah, I love that. Thank you very much, Lucia, for that. Ronnie, we are back with you with a question that comes from Leah. And she's asking, what is the best way to decide which opportunity to take? When more than one job offer is made, what should you consider? This is a great question.
It is. And it does tie in with having a career plan. If you have a career plan and you know where you want to go, then the first question is, which opportunity helps me reach that career plan? If you are starting out in your product management career in the first 5-6 years, I do recommend with going and trying different things. If you've been in B2B, give B2C a try different industries, try small companies, big ones, gain experience in different areas of product so you could see what you like more. When you're a little bit more experienced and you are further down the line and you know what you are looking for, then know what's important for you. There are so many different aspects in work, work-life balance, compensation, the people on your team, the location, the industry. These things are, their level of importance is different for everybody. What's important for me may not be most important for you or for Moria or Lucia or Nathy, and know which ones are the ones that are most important to you. And these are the ones that you should give the most weight to. If all of these are ticked off and they're all comparable, 2 jobs down the street, one from the other, same industry, same size company, everything, then look at the people. Look at the people that you'll be working with. The boss, do they have a contagious spark in their eye when they talk about the product? Do they make you want to say yes to them? Does the team look like somebody, like a team that you want to be with all day? We spend most of our waking hours with our coworkers and at work. So, is this the place we want to be? I think that we really have a gut feeling. I once left a job interview and my husband asked, how did it go? And I sent him the emoticon with the little heart eyes because just the boss was so passionate. And I said, oh my God, I would do anything. I would walk on hot coals for this guy. He looked like he could just make you do anything. He was charismatic and passionate about his product. And I wanted to be a part of his team. And I think that our gut usually is right.
Drop the mic. Love it very much. Thank you very much, Ronnie. Maor has a question to you, Nati. Are you ready?
I hope so.
Okay, so he's asking, how does one become a product manager focused on a strategy? Okay, so now we're getting into the nitty gritty of specific paths in product management, and he's asking, what are the typical skills and responsibilities when it comes to product manager focused on strategy?
Yep. Thank you, Mao, for this question. I will try to provide a short answer for that. So usually, product strategy is managed by product leaders, usually, or the executive team if there is no product leader around. So there is a good chance that if you want to deal with the product strategy of your product, you'll need to climb the ladder. In some companies, there's no way around that. However, I did see product manager whose manager didn't bother defining a product strategy for the product they own. In such a vacuum, you can step in and work on a product strategy for your product. I mean, look for opportunities and jump in, because you would be surprised on how many times there is no product strategy in place. Now, in super short, focusing on product strategy requires that you'll see the big picture and where your product needs to be 2 or 3 years from now. You need to think about growth, about market penetration. You need to know the market, your user and your customers, and the competition very, very well. And essentially, it requires you to lift your head above the water. I mean, above what in front of you. You need for a second to detach from the day-to-day and stuff around you. And for that, you'll need to master your time management skills, because otherwise you'll be addressing always the immediate needs, and you never reach, you never have the time to deal with the actual strategy. That's my short tip.
Spot
I'd,
on. Thank you very much,
can I
Nati, for that. And Amil Hussein
wait,
has a
Maria?
question.
Can I just
Yes,
add?
of course.
Sorry, I wanted to add to Nati. Even as a product manager, if you're not defining product strategy, you're working on features, and you could define the KPIs for those feature, and you could show your boss, hey, look, I'm already measuring the value of the things that I'm building. This feature, it's got a baseline usage of 47%. I expect that when we make these changes, it'll go up. Let's measure it in 2 months, 3 months. Did it go up? Evaluate what you're doing. So it may not be product strategy, but start small with feature strategy and measuring. KPIs are really, really important.
Just start. I love that. I love that, Ronnie. Thank you very much for that. And Lucia, you're ready because Amir Hussein has a question to ask you. I'll take it as a yes. Fantastic. And he asks, how do we stay on top of learning, improving our knowledge, and staying in the know while we are so busy?
Okay,
It comes from the heart.
yeah. And so that's my answer. I have 2 kids, 2 jobs, and I'm a head of a department, and I'm a single parent. So it's not easy to stay up to date. What I do is I am just extremely disciplined. So the downtimes that I have when I commute, where I could be swiping some social app, I just don't do that, or I try to limit that. And because I don't do well with long videos, and I obviously attend 1 or 2 conferences, but it's mostly for networking, to be honest. I do really well with podcasts and like knowledge pills. So I try to use all my downtime, even if I take the bus for 15 minutes to plan the podcast episodes that I want to listen to. And then I just discipline myself to just do that. And the other thing that I do is I try to put into practice some of the key learnings that I observed as soon as possible, because that's really, at least for me, the only way in which I can really lock the learning and it stays with me. Otherwise, I just forget. So whenever I listen to something good, I'm like, okay, my only chance is to put it into practice within 3 weeks, because otherwise it's just going to be gone. And maybe I will not get back to that link ever again. So to me, I write down the pointers and I try to put them into practice. And then what I notice is that the same as with algorithms in Google. They keep on presenting you with stuff that you not already know, but you're really familiar with. And so sometimes I just ask my mom what she's reading, or my dad what he's listening to, because I want to explore like a little bit outside of what I think is, I don't know, interesting for me. So I don't know, my mom is into flowers right now, and she's like, I don't know, learning to do bonsai by herself, and this is what I learned too. So this is what I'm reading as well, and it's just beautiful because it builds up on like broader knowledge, which is always helpful.
Yeah, especially when we are doing product, right? Because you need to think about design and about business and about strategy and about technology. So nothing can go wrong by just exploring more things and being excited and inspired from other domains. I love that. And I especially love the tip that you shared with the audience of turning audio into words, into practices. Okay, so don't just listen to a podcast, really think, how can you, even just for a small part of that, act on that tomorrow or next week, something in your work, so you translate that into action. I love that. Thank you very much for that, Lucia. And Ronnie, we are back with you. It's a beautiful question. It comes from Quiana. I truly hope that I pronounced the name correctly. If not, I apologize in advance. And she's asking, what do you do to organize and structure your learning? So we got some motivation from Lucia, okay, to do so and to explore and to experiment. That's fantastic. But how do you organize that?
So Lucia said a lot of wonderful things. I too am extremely busy, always juggling a bunch of things at work, at home. So I like to focus on one thing at a time. If I hear about something in product management that is supposed to be interesting, hot, new, I'll add it to my queue. And I'll usually take a few weeks with a hot topic, reading different blogs, books, and resources on the same topic so I could get different points of view. And over the next few weeks, try to implement what works for me. And what works, I'll continue with it. What doesn't, I could leave behind. I have a queue of topics that are waiting, so I always have the next topic. Sometimes things take a week, sometimes it takes a month and a half. Currently, I'm really enjoying implementing opportunity trees into how I look at problems. And the queue is longer than I'll ever get to it. And I can't.
But that's good because you have a queue. So
exactly,
once you have some free time, as Lucia mentioned, this going into the bus, right? So instead of just wondering what should I listen to right now, you have something ready, and that's fantastic.
Exactly. I can't do podcasts. I start doing something like folding laundry or washing dishes in the meantime, and I zone out. So I hear there's so many amazing podcasts. I just can't do it.
Which I like about what you just mentioned, what I like about that is the fact that you know what works for you and what not. And I think this is actually a big deal when it comes to learning and evolving. Okay, there is no one solution out there that fits all of us. We are here for product professionals. We probably work in different ways, think in different ways, practice things in different ways, and learning things in different ways. And that's really important for us, not just to understand that, but also to love that fact about us, right? And really embrace that and understand what works for us and follow that, and not the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Now, guys, we're short on time, but we have something very exciting coming. So I need your cooperation here because I'm going to challenge you. There is a new format that we call the question that was not asked, where we ask you, mentors, to tell us what is the question that you wished for the audience to ask you, and you did not see this question yet. Okay, so you tell us what is the one piece of advice that you would like to share with everyone. We're going to do it right now, but we're going to do it fast because we have amazing questions from the audience submitted in the chat already, and I want to make sure that we will answer at least a few of those. So who wants to start with the question that was not asked and your answer?
Fine.
Natia, I'm pointing you. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm having several mentees, and they ask me very often, what are all the titles, product titles out there? What do they mean? So I'll try in less than 1 minute, try to make order. It's quite challenging. So first, not everything that has product in the title is actually related to product. Be careful of product operation, product experts, or whatever. The titles that do matter, product manager and senior product manager, are essentially the same, where senior product manager probably be ended with more impactful task. Now, going up the ladder, there is a product lead, director of product, and head of product that are often misused in the industry, titles going around very wrongly. Theoretically, product lead and director of product usually mean that you'll be managing other product manager, but it lets less clear what your product ownership is going to be. While with head of product, the product ownership is much more clearer, but you might not be managing anyone. Now, going up the ladder, VP product and chief product officer are almost the same. So if you are a chief product officer, then you are clearly an executive and can be only one of you in each company. While in big company, they may have more than one VP of product. This is the less than 1 minute, my attempt to sort this mess out.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Ronnie?
Sure. So what's the most important thing to measure? KPIs are very, very important. And I believe that we always have to be measuring ourselves, what we bring to the team and to the company. It's important to be able to quantify our value, whether it's in money, time saved for users, clients reached, improved churn. When you want to come and ask for a raise, it's a lot more convincing to say, hey, my features caused 8% less churn this quarter, or we brought in $200,000 worth of revenue with these features. When you're going to move jobs and you want your resume to stand out, you're going to be putting those quantifiable values on your resume, because that shows that you know how to measure and you know the value that you're bringing to the company.
Ronnie, I think you just read our audience minds, because Helena is here to say, hi, all the talk here is fascinating, which I agree with. Thank you so much for the insights. And her question is, how do you measure your impact as a product manager? Okay, so you just mentioned, Ronnie, very wisely, you mentioned the growth and the financial impacts of that. Let's brainstorm, guys, because this is a beautiful question. What are the ways in which a product manager can share and actually measure their impact?
Well, I think that if the company has a North Star KPI defined, many companies don't have that. But for those who did take the time to define a North Star KPI, then it's much easier to measure the impact of what you're doing, because you simply measure the impact of the North Star KPI. Now, with a lack of North Star KPI, you can check how much, if a product strategy is defined, what's your impact on the product strategy, and how much you help to the growth of the company and stuff like that. But of course, I agree, if with the lack of all of those, then what Ronnie said is probably the right lead for that.
That's fantastic. I agree with you all. Thank you very much for that. And we have another beautiful question. It comes from Swati. I again, really hope that I pronounced the name correctly. And here she is asking, what criteria or question during interviews will help me to recognize a company which is product-led, or at least understand and values product management? This is a beautiful question.
Yeah.
How do we
Very good
actually
question.
know if this is a place where we want to be in? I can add something from my experience, and in the meantime, I will allow you to think about your answers. That, to me, when I read a description from a company, an opening, okay, where I can clearly know that this company just copy pasted from somewhere else, and this is not really something that they set together, a few people in the company really thought about who they need, why they need them, what is this person going to do in the company. To me, this is a sign of this is not a product-led company, because a product-led company really knows who is the person that they need for the team, right? So coming up with this job description is easier to them. So this is for me. What do you have to share?
On my side, I think it goes back to objectives. So the questions that I typically ask is, can you explain to me which are your company objectives and how they connect within the different departments? Sometimes even just asking, can you name some of the departments you work with? And then you hear sales, marketing, and I don't know, some launch team and some, weird executional team. And then you realize, okay, these people are not working in a cross-functional manner at all. And that should already ring some bells for you. So for me, the most important thing is to validate whether they have cross-functional mindset and also shared objectives. If that is in place, then you at least know that they have an agile mindset.
Absolutely. And also worth mentioning that if this is not the case and they don't know how to operate in this way, your life as a product manager are going to be very hard, very, very, very hard. Yeah. So it's not just about them being product led or not. It's just about how, not easy, because it's never easy, but how difficult or not difficult your job is going to be. I love that, Lucia. Nati, Ronnie, what else? Questions, things to ask the interviewer while we are interviewing and want to make sure that we're in the good company.
Yeah, I'm personally, and this is personal preference, I ask a lot about the product structure and the internal processes of the company. For me, an alert sign is that if the product department is reporting to the CTO, this is usually a very bad sign. I advise all my mentees to run away in this case, but just me. But the processes tells you a lot, and also I agree to everything Lucia said. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you very much, Nati and Ronnie.
I think that they both gave great answers during the interview process. Sometimes I bring up, previous places that I worked at where it wasn't product led. If they ask why I left, then, talk about how I felt that I wasn't doing product work and read the signals. You could read the body language. At an interview once, I saw somebody becoming very uncomfortable, and that, okay, that's a sign that, that's probably happening there as well. And, if your interview is a two-way street, then they're going to be giving you information while you're answering, even if it's nonverbal. So look for those nonverbal cues as well.
Absolutely. And an interview is always a two-way street. I highly agree with you here, and with your t-shirt, by the way. It says, "You had made product," which is our Product League slogan. So thank you very much for wearing that. You know how to make me happy. From Tel Aviv, Israel, this was Nati Berkover, VP of Product and Data Science at Jing and Product League Mentor. From the Netherlands, Lucia Colora, Product Director at Akka and Product League Mentor. And from Haifa, Israel, Ronnie Moses, Product Manager at MediSafe and Product League Mentor. I had the best time, guys, having you on our stage. I can't wait to have you here again, sharing your know-how, your experience, your thought, because your answers are so valuable. And I want to thank you in the name of our audience. Thank you very much for this sharing of knowledge. And I hope that you had a great time, because I had.
Yeah,
Thank you very much for having us. Really.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. These are the fantastic mentors of Product League. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts and know-how with your mentees and here with the audience. And I can't wait to have you again on our floor. Thank you very much, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.